Internet. It's the Dork Lords. We are here with our special guest, Brian O'Connor. We had him back a couple of weeks ago to talk about Star Trek Discovery. And he's back now that Discovery is, between seasons. Thought we'd bring him back, the ultimate Trekkie, to hear his take on Season 1 and hear what he thinks about for Season 2. There is definitely going to be a Season 2. And so we'll be covering it, and I'm interested to hear what Brian has to say about it. Brian, your thoughts, sir?
The last time we spoke, I believe, was the mid-season cliffhanger. So I think that's the last time we spoke. So we were kind of wondering, are we in the mirror universe? What's going on? We kind of think we might be. At the time, Lorca was still kind of morally gray, but kind of would, but like we were talking off the air, he kind of would get things done, and it was kind of he was serious, and, it was, we have to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to get everybody there in one piece kind of thing.
Right, and we theorized he was probably from the mirror universe, and yet that doesn't mean he's a horrible person, per se. It's like, oh, okay. He's, he's that morally great captain, but he's still efficient and can get things done, yeah. And then immediately...
I mentioned that he was, in my top 5 of favoriteest captains of all time, and then I watched the subsequent episodes, and...
24 hours later, yeah.
It went from, that morally gray area to, I am from the mirror universe, I'm evil, and now I'm taking the blinders off, and everybody is, we're going to make the Empire great again, and,
And I kind of I have this weird, sexual molesty thing going on, and then I'm dead. And it was like, okay, wow, you just, took that guy all the way through.
So I wanted to jump back on with you and just say that when I said that he was in my top 5 of most favorite captains to ever wear the Starfleet uniform, upon further review...
Can't foul!
So, but I will say that in the time before he really let his inner evil unleash, once we found out he was, the cat's out of the bag, he's in the mirror. Before that, he was a very fascinating character to me.
Very fascinating. One might say the most interesting character on the show. I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I think arguably the most interesting character on the show. I mean, the show was obviously geared for Michael Burnham, and it was her arc through this thing. But until the moment, episode 12, 13, somewhere in there, when he went full evil, and he was like, boop. He was arguably the most, most interesting. He was very compelling character.
And it was a different... completely kind of different look at what, a Star Trek captain that's just a little out there on the edge might be, and then we found out that he was just waiting to get further out there on the edge, that was that, but...
Right, he was hiding his true innate evilness by being kind of evil. Okay, you could have hid it all the way and then been like, hey, I'm a good guy, but it's like, no, it's as far as I can go.
Remember back towards, I think, the beginning, the first several episodes, there was some talk around that maybe this was what was it, the Section 60, what was it, this...
Oh, right, yeah, Section, I want to say 37? But yeah, the black armband and the black, and they were code black.
Right. So I was kind of thinking for a while that he was kind of on the edge of, not evil, but he was just kind of, that, like you said, morally gray.
And for instance, so that group is kind of like the Black Ops group in the Prime universe. And we've seen a little bit of them in some of the other iterations of Star Trek. But so people were thinking, well, maybe this is the Black Ops, the origin of that Black Ops thing.
And they kind of operate a little outside of Starfleet and a little kind of this didn't happen, but it had to happen kind of thing.
Right. Hence you could also then... have the Discovery have some cool tech that maybe no one else has. Because they're the Black Ops people and they don't talk about it.
The uniforms and everything. It was just, I really thought that was a real possibility. And then, it wasn't.
It wasn't. It was not a thing. It was not a thing.
In fact, I think there were, Matt. I think there were several moments through the whole first season where you were thinking, "Oh, this would be kind of cool if this happened, and this would explain that," and then it wasn't. Like, you know what I mean? There were like a lot of those moments where it seemed like, "Oh, I get it. I know what they're doing," and then it didn't go that way.
Agreed, and it didn't go that way, and sometimes in an unsatisfying way. Like sometimes you're watching a show and you think you know where it's going, and then it zigs when you thought it was going to zag, and you're like, "Oh, that's awesome!" In this case, it was kind of like, "Oh, okay, I guess you could go that way." Oh, all right, yeah, they did not. I think I mentioned this. They didn't stick the landing on this season. Either. It just,
no, and you know, just kind of jump off what we were talking about with Lorca, and he was such a compelling character, and you know, Jason Isaacs does such an amazing job. Like he's really good,
very good.
And so I'm hoping that maybe we're gonna get to see him again.
Right. So there was that photo. There was a cast photo. If I can find it, I will post it here somewhere. But it was after the season had finished, and they were taking a cast photo, and it looked like Michael Burnham was holding the sign, but somebody put up a sign that was like, "Find Prime Lorca," something like that, and they were like holding it up, you know, as though, "Don't let this be the last we see of Jason Isaacs."
Yeah, I really hope
so
it's
that's
not.
The thing.
I mean, that's me. I just hope it's not. I hope that's kind of where they're going to go. Do you think they know? Do you think they even really know? Yeah, I mean, I guess the writers have some sort of idea of what is to come, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they're going to do, if I had to guess, I think you've got this Ash Tyler and Laurel thing, right? So Tyler was on the ship. At the end of the season, he decides, instead of dying, which we all thought he was going to die, he lived. Good on you, Ash Tyler, you survived. But he left the ship to be with Laurel and go help the Klingon restoration, whatever. So you've got situations where you've got a Prime Lorca out there somewhere, probably in the Mirror Universe. You've got Ash Tyler now out somewhere in the Prime Universe. I think they're going to be little guest star things, kind of
like George,
you know, like Harry Mudd. You know, like, oh, we'll have a Mudd episode. We'll have a Tyler episode. We'll have maybe we meet up with Prime Lorca and it's like a 2-parter or something. But I don't see him. Unfortunately, I don't see him coming back and being like, I'm captain of the Discovery. Here we go, everybody.
And I don't think he's on Vulcan. I don't think that. Do you think? I mean,
no. Here, okay. We could talk some theories. So we'll talk theories for season 2 here. I'll just do what I'm going to go with the most obvious. I'm doing the Occam's razor. You know, the easiest explanation is usually the right one. All right. They're headed to Vulcan to pick up their new captain. Sarek is on board the Discovery. They get an emergency distress call from the Enterprise, which currently has, here we go, Spock on it. So I'm going to go with, if they're going to Vulcan, it's a Vulcan captain. I think that season 2 is going to play with the notion of that family unit. You've got Spock as the half Vulcan. You've got Sarek as the dad, who's a Vulcan. You've got Burnham, who's a human. There's going to be a Vulcan captain who's he's going to do the whole, I'm an arrogant Vulcan, and you're only, you learn some ways, but you're no Vulcan. Away with you. And I think what it means to be human versus what it means to be Vulcan, I think that's what the narrative is going to explore.
So you think Sarek's going to hang around on Discovery and kind of keep an eye on this captain?
Yeah, no, I don't think he'll be on the ship, but I do feel like they're going to drop him off on Vulcan. They pick up a captain, and then occasionally, because she has the mind meld with him, right? So she can have conversations with him in her quarters when he's sitting on Vulcan. So I think that's how he'll show up a few times, or she'll communicate with him. I do feel like we're going to see a guest appearance by a version of Spock. We almost have to, right?
That was going to be my next question, because the what they're setting up here is this rendezvous, and they've set it up very well, obviously, in the final scene.
You can't not do it now, right?
So you can't just be like,
oh, that was fun. Well, on to our next.
It wasn't real serious, and we handled it, and now we're on to season 2.
It'd be great. It'd be like this. Stardate 2462. It's been 2 months since we convened with the Enterprise. That was a fun day. Anyway, we're long past that now. We'll never see them again.
I really worry about that. But the reason I worry about not spending too much time with the Enterprise, although I guess you could argue that the Enterprise is going to be involved with the story arc of season 2. But my issue is, who are they going to have be? Are they going to not? I mean, Zachary Quinto is going to be.
I can't imagine they bring him back. It would be awesome if they did. That would be a nice Easter egg.
They just cast another Spock?
I think they do. I think they're just like going to bring in another person that will be Spock-like. And I mean, the other alternative is I can see 2 alternatives, neither of which would be good. One, they go aboard the Enterprise. Oh, great, we need your help. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, you should talk with Ensign Spock. He just left. But
he's on vacation. He's on vacation.
He's on vacation. Or like he just went out that door. You could catch him in the turbo lift. Or he's like, you show him from the back and he's in shadow or something. And then you hear like a voice that's kind of sounds Spockish. And you're like, neither one. I wouldn't. That would be crappy.
But you get
I
what
say
I'm
you just
saying.
commit to it.
You get what I'm saying. My apprehension about that being like us spending a lot of time with the Enterprise is, if it just. I mean, I guess they could cast another Spock for the Discovery show, but man, I don't know. I mean, I just think that they're not going to be able to afford to have multiple shows with Zachary Quinto. I mean, that's a...
I hear you. Plus there's that issue of TV versus movies. You see this with Marvel all the time, where Marvel can't... The contracts aren't such that they can just move people into the TV shows. I don't know if that's the way it is with Trek, but I have a feeling it is, maybe. Those contracts are completely different, and so, anyway, I don't know.
All right, so maybe I'll just go with that. So they cast another Spock, and then they can do it the right way. They can do it, they can make it multiple episodes if they want to, and he can come back and easily assess.
Now, that said, I mean, if he's going to be having interactions, again, we don't know, but it feels like this is going to be a narrative arc. For instance, in the first season we just went through, they set up the narrative arc right away. First couple episodes, she has the mutiny, she pays for it, and then she has to have a redemption arc. So you feel like the Enterprise is going to be involved in whatever that narrative is going to be, because it's right off the bat they're going to establish it. So let's assume for a second, I mean, again, we're making big assumptions, but assume that Spock and the Enterprise are involved in the narrative arc. That means he's going to have to probably be involved at the end of the arc as well. So he's going to be in maybe different episodes of this thing. And yet he never talks about her again. That makes you think that either it's not going to end well and he doesn't want to talk about it, or like, why, they have to... I was going to say they have to come up with a reason. This show has shown they don't have to explain anything.
I was about to say, whatever we think is going to happen may not happen, and it may not be, like you said, the easiest explanation. I mean, I just think that there's going to be more curveballs coming.
Curveball?
More curveballs.
So what do you have any, even, whatever,
I
wild,
will say that I wanted
thoughts?
to mention to you, I rewatched Take My Hand. I rewatched.
Oh, okay, good.
I rewatched Take My Hand this afternoon, and it was the second time I'd watched it. Only the second time. So after I saw it the first time, we talked about it before offline about. I was a little disappointed, and we didn't like how it wrapped up. It felt rushed, and there were just so many climaxes, and a lot going on. So I kind of was like on overload by the end of the episode, and I was like, oh, cool, there's the Enterprise. Let's turn this off. I got to do something else. I just was like, okay. And then, but I watched it today, and
took a step back.
And it was a different thing. I went into it with my let it go attitude.
Right, you were in Frozen.
Yeah.
All right.
I went into it with my let it go attitude and just kind of went into it thinking this is exactly how it happened, and there's no reason to question any of the events, and we're just gonna go through it. So I watched it kind of in that regard, and I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed it the first time. Well, a bit more.
Second viewing, better. That's good.
Second viewing was much better, and I felt like when the Enterprise reveal at the end, it meant more the second time because I wasn't so just exhausted from like I was able to kind of just enjoy it more. So if you haven't watched it again, I would definitely recommend watching it again and just kind of embrace the Spore Drive and embrace the new Federation. There were a lot of speeches. There were a lot of speeches. Burnham's soliloquy at the beginning of the episode, and then the big one at the end when she's in the big auditorium at Starfleet, and but there were a lot of big moments. But like I said, there was so much going on. It was easy to kind of just be hard to get into it. So the second time I was able to. That's basically what it was.
Awesome. That's good to hear, sir. What do you think? I mean, obviously, so some of the other plot threads that are loose would be like Mirror Giorgio.
Yep, the Emperor
is out there somewhere. Again, I think that's maybe a guest star type thing as opposed to a whole narrative arc thing. The Klingons are now unified, I guess. So
are they?
Are they
really? I mean,
I don't know. Like, I guess my question is, because I don't. All right, here's a question for you then. Do you think they're going back to the Mirror Universe in season 2? I kind of think they're not, but you tell me.
No, I don't think so. I think we are distancing ourselves from the Mirror Universe at warp speed.
So who do you think then is the big bad villain of season 2? Is it the Romulans? Is it
I think it's either the Emperor. Something happens and the Emperor is brought back into the story.
Takes over.
I think that could be, or whatever is the cause of this distress call that the Enterprise has gotten.
Gotcha. Okay. Right. So let's theorize on that for a second. So what do you? I mean, I mentioned in the last episode I did where I was talking about how the Enterprise is obviously doesn't look. The outer hull is not damaged. It still has the power. It can motivate itself. It's at least at impulse power, maybe more. They can communicate.
And it's not its maiden voyage. We know that. It's been around for a while.
It's been around. And it's not immediately under threat. It's not like there's a ship right behind it shooting at it.
Right.
So what do we think the nature of the distress might be?
I know. Do you think that there's even a way to wild guess? I mean, there's a lot of theories that I've been reading kind of from around about maybe the Mirror Discovery was not destroyed
So we just heard from Admiral Cornwell that it was destroyed, but we didn't see physical proof that it was destroyed.
And that seems pretty big. That's a big deal.
I'll say I believed her at the time, but yeah, I can, without seeing it, we don't know. So you're saying that maybe the Mirror Discovery is the villain, like Killy. Killy is the big. Please don't let Killy be the big villain of this next season.
I will tell you this though: if Killy is still alive and the Mirror Discovery is still around. We know that the Emperor would love to hang out with Killy again.
They're buds.
They're buds. That was one of my favorite moments, by the way, when the whole reveal happens with her and the Emperor invites her in, and she does the little, she's like, no, we're not doing that anymore.
That was funny. So I give Killy credit.
I know you're not a huge fan. But
no, but that's right. You know what? Credit where credit is due. She did it. It was funny. That was good. Good on you, Tilly.
So, but I don't know. As far as to answer your question about the distress signal and what's got the Enterprise. I mean, they don't just send
I
out.
would guess it's something internal, right? So
Yeah.
maybe it's the life support systems, or maybe they. I mean, I hate to. We didn't actually hear a voice, correct? We just heard a distress. They just heard it's a distress beacon.
I think we heard, because I listened to that specifically when I watched it today. I think we heard like like it was like kind of audible, but you couldn't make anything out. It was just like
Oh, okay.
So
All right. Well, then that means maybe they are. I was thinking maybe there could it be that the ship has been commandeered somehow, and like the distress signal is just to bring someone else to them, so they can whatever. But that seems far fetched.
I just I don't know. I mean,
because that would be in the history of the Enterprise. Oh yeah, there was that time when the Enterprise was taken over. You remember that? Because anything that they do with the Enterprise right now, I think canon is pretty thorough about the timeline of the Enterprise, and the fact that there's not they had a rendezvous with the Discovery that time when they were in distress seems like a big plot problem. That,
well, they said, I was listening to one of the writers on, I think some blog I saw somewhere, and he was talking about even going to the Klingon homeworld, they had to be real kind of careful about that with like what was going on. So they created this idea of the outpost. This is the embassy, and and the ship's inside the planet, so it's like nobody knows it's there really. So they said
right. It's like a minefield. It's the Trek canon minefield. You have to oh god, oh god, you blew it up. And the longer they hang out with the spore drive, the longer they're just walking through that minefield.
So, all right, well, let me ask you this question then: if you had to give an A through F grade of Season 1 Discovery and Star Trek canon, what's that?
Oh. All right, so you're not talking about just the quality of the show.
No, I'm just talking about
Star
just
Trek
if you're
canon.
looking at it like as the canon police.
All right, I'll say for the quality of the show overall for the whole 15 episodes, I'll just do that first. I would give it, I think, a B-. I was entertained at times, very entertained, and so I enjoyed a lot of it. I'll give it a B-. You got to go with a lower grade than that for canon, though. I'll go with this a straight C. C for canon. They had some nice Easter eggs. They did some fan service. You had little mentions of Archer. You had the flip phones. There were some cool things. But, boy, they just got some things that just should not be there, and they don't explain why they're there or how they're going to disappear in 10 years. So there's a problem there. That's me. What do you think?
Well, I would go kind of in the range that you were at. They definitely tried to I think they tried to almost, they put a lot of fun little Easter eggs in almost as but ignore this other stuff.
Hardcore mud.
Everything we'll give you, we'll do three things that seem totally, So I did notice when I was watching it in several of the scenes this season when they would have the view screen and they'd be at red alert, they had the little, I believe it was Star Trek The Motion Picture, the little red alert graphic, the little pulsing graphic that they had. The ship is on red alert, that kind of graphic.
So black alert is when they're going to make a jump, yeah? And then red alert is when they're in trouble? When they're bamfing. Yes. Bamf equals black alert.
Yes.
Black alert. Okay.
So there was a lot of Easter eggs. I would probably go with you, C. And maybe we could curve that up if depending on how the show goes. We could look back on it and be like, that's a B.
How they retcon the holograms and the holodeck and the spore drive.
I think they're going with the whole idea of if they could have made it look like this in the 60s, they would have.
Agreed. What they're saying is we don't want the show to look crappy and outdated, so we're just not going to go there.
So we're going to use
forgive
tech
us.
that's conventional to our time, that we can do and make look realistic and... and it does look a lot like the Abrams kind of tech.
It does.
You know, so even though they're not, I guess, in that timeline, it does look a lot like the tech and the special effects kind of look like the movies.
Yeah, I agree. I think they made it they just decided, okay, canon versus looking cool. Let's look cool. Hell with it.
And we'll throw in enough things that they'll kind of some, the hardcore fans will kind of slack on it.
Now that said, let's assume that they're going to be aboard the Enterprise at some point early in the season. I would think they are, right? You're there with the Enterprise. They probably beam aboard to help out.
Right.
Boy, if you start,
if the Enterprise has holograms, let's go to your holodeck. You're like, what? Like if they oh, your spore drive's not working. Let's just get that working. You're like, wait a minute, no. Like it's one thing for the Discovery to be that. It would be another if the Enterprise is like totally updated. And
I think
I
it's
don't know.
gonna.
Abrams, as you say, Abrams.
My prediction.
So
my prediction is the bridge is gonna look a lot like the kind of our Discovery Tech world as close as they can get it to the original Enterprise.
Right, as close as they can get it. Right,
right. And it still looked like Discovery. I mean, maybe they could throw in a little Easter egg, like the door behind the bridge is like red or something. I don't know. Something just like look.
Because they've already said in the show, I believe it was Burnham, is like, oh, those Constitution class, woo, those are sweet. I'd really like to be on one of those. Not here on the Discovery that has all of the coolest tech known to man.
Well, I will say, Matt, I think we can probably accept that they're going to have the holograms on the Enterprise. They're going to have all of the
You're right. I said it. As I was saying it, I realized, oh, they are going to have it.
They're going to have
I don't know why I'm saying that.
Because, how would they be able to talk to other... You don't have a hologram? Oh, y'all are really slumming it over there.
Wow. These light bright pegs.
Haven't got the upgrade.
I thought your Constitution class ships were great. Now I see the truth. Yeah. So they will.
So we're gonna see how involved the Enterprise is in season 2.
Right. So as I say, I think it'll be a Vulcan style story. We're gonna lean into the Vulcan stuff, which maybe means you get Romulans because that's kind of the, the offshoot of Vulcan. Brother technologies. You could do that. What was the? I'm gonna kill myself. What was the name of the first episode in the original series where we meet the Romulans?
The Balance of Terror.
Balance of Terror, exactly. Great episode. You can imagine a version of that. Of course, then you're screwing up with the Balance of Terror. Never mind.
Yeah, Matt, you're really.
Although it's the Discovery seeing them, and no one else does. I don't know.
I'm very much looking forward to season 2 though, and I really think that they may not even have a full grasp of what that's even going to entail yet, and I think it probably depends a lot on.
I think you're right. I think they probably got an outline, and they're probably going to maybe use things like what worked in this season, what didn't. Maybe for instance, Saru, awesome character. Oh. They probably thought he would be, but they probably didn't know for sure what they had on their hands. Doug Jones, bring that guy back, put him in as many episodes as you can. That guy's good, and that character's cool.
Would you say he's like the dark horse for like the best character on the show? He's up there, and
he's compelling. He's a new race.
The way he does, he's into it. I mean, you can tell. You never don't think Saru is. I mean, he's got it. He's nailed it. In my
agreed. He's a very compelling character. Stamets is a cool character too. We'll get to see what he's up to.
I sent you that picture. I think it was a cast photo from right after. It was like the cast of Discovery, and there were 4 people that I really felt like I didn't know at the end of the.
Right. There's Cyborg Lady.
Yeah.
There's.
I'm not sure what's going on.
Random guy from
there. I'm not sure what's going on there.
We did not meet the whole crew really more than a couple of lines. I remember when they had an episode right near the end, 14th maybe, where they had the whole crew say a line. And it was surprising. I was like, oh, they talk. Wow, all right then. So they could probably explore the crew a bit better. Agreed.
Well, and we lost
You
some
know, like on the
major
original
characters.
series.
We lost some
What's
major
that?
characters. I was going to say we lost some major characters, so
Yeah.
they're gone. I mean, we would think.
Landry was one that both she and her mirror got killed off. Like, oh.
Yeah.
Because she was like the security officer, I think.
Yeah, and Connor, he's
That guy didn't get a chance to know that guy.
No, he's gone. And then I guess there's a new the communications officer in the finale that said we have a distress signal coming in.
All right.
So I don't know much about him. I guess.
Now there is the one other potential plot point they alluded to, which was the one spore that lands on Tilly's arm, and so that's a thing where not sure where that's going. Because the thing was, it didn't land there at the end of the season. It landed there in like episode 13 or something. So it wasn't like it immediately affected her in some way. So it's going to be one of these like weeks later. Oh, I got a thing on my uniform. I don't know. That's why it seems weird.
Well, I will say this. We've noticed people on Discovery don't really relay to the medical folks if they have problems until it's too far. I mean,
or they show up and then they neck snap the doctor, so that's not good either. But yeah, so either it's going to have physical problems with her, or that's because see, I thought they were going in the direction of we're out of spores, and then she's got one, but no, they've got a moon filled with spores now, so they don't care about that.
That was so lame. Why did they do that?
I don't know why they did that. They could easily make it a scarcity problem. Nope.
No.
No.
I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. I mean, but there's been things we didn't get. You gave your overall grade for the first season. I would probably go with you B+. I think I'd probably go B+.
All right, we'll give it a B+. Okay.
I mean,
I can understand that.
It was good, like you said. Very entertaining. The acting, great.
They spent a lot of time on it. The production value very high, and it did keep us guessing.
They were into it. I mean, they weren't half-assing anything with the show. It was it was compelling television. Some of the things that happened, we may or may not agree with or think it was the best thing to do, but that I guess you're gonna have that in any show.
And I think, if I really were to take a look at the season as a whole, maybe I should round it up. I'm shading it down a bit because of the ending. I just felt like it kind of missed the boat in that 14th and 15th episodes. But,
Did you feel like
that aside.
Did you feel like it was kind of like a 3-part finale? Did you kind of get the impression that it was not a one episode?
I mean, that episode 13, I think it was episode 13, that seemed so much like a finale. And, that was where we've got the newly revealed as evil Lorca, and he's fighting the Emperor, and the ship, the Discovery has to come in and knock out the stuff and save the universe itself. And then Lorca is killed and dropped out the moon door, and then the Emperor has to come back to the Prime Universe because Burnham makes a conscious decision to save her, and you're like, all right. That's a lot. And then you have the cliffhanger of, we're 9 months too late, and the Klingons won. Bam! I mean, that would be a perfect segue to season 2.
They kept having their dun 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 moment, but it wasn't. Like, it was like, no, we have more.
So yeah, it did feel anyway. So you were waiting for something even better to come along to beat episode 13, and it didn't. It never topped that level of stakes in the 14th and 15th episodes.
So that's why you gave it. So that's why you gave it kind of the B- because it was just.
I think because of the end kind of tailed off for me a bit.
Well, I'm excited about season 2, and we'll see what happens. And obviously anything is just speculation, but we will be talking about it for a while.
Indeed, indeed. And if you, the viewers, have any thoughts on what you think will happen in season 2, or what maybe your favorite moments from season 1, or complaints, let us know in the comments. We'll comment back. Yeah, we'll be back when season 2 comes around. We will watch it and talk about it because we're Trekkie nerds. Yeah. Anyway, Brian, a pleasure as always. We're gonna have to bring you back for some other stuff, sir.